for our Ask Me Anything live video series. If you missed our last video in memory of the MS St. Louis, the Muslim ban and the consequence of turning away refugees with our Director of Refugee Programming and Placement, Rona Buchhalter, you can still see it in the video section of HIAS Pennsylvania's Facebook page or on our website at hiaspa.org. My name is Cathryn Miller-Wilson. I'm the Executive Director of HIAS Pennsylvania, a nonprofit agency whose mission is to provide legal and social services to immigrants and refugees. Today, our conversation will focus on what it's like living in a refugee camp. And I just want to take 1 minute before turning to our guest. I know that the news has been all about public charge. HIAS-PA will be talking about that proposed rule, which is supposed to go into effect on October 15th. But today, which is August, we really want to focus on refugees and their experiences in the camp. So thanks to everybody who submitted questions already. We're excited for our conversation. If you haven't already done so, please submit any questions you have during the next half hour in the comments section. If we don't get to them during this live conversation, we will answer them in the comments. We would love to hear your ideas on topics for future videos. We hope that through this video series, you can ask any questions you have and learn the truth about immigration and refugee resettlement in the United States. Today, we're excited to be speaking with Brian Bukenya. Brian fled Uganda in 2014. He went to live in Kenya's Kakuma refugee camp, which is home to more than 60,000 refugees. While living in Kakuma, Brian served as a community leader. In January 2018, Brian came to the United States. Welcome and thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
All right, so I want to start with a question from me. As a former refugee, you fled Uganda in 2014.
Yes.
Can you tell us about your experience in Uganda before fleeing?
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. As I'm Brian Bukenya, as you have already introduced me, but I cannot fail to introduce myself too. So the reason why I fled out from Uganda to Kenya, it was due to my insecurity which I had in Uganda, because in Uganda I had a lot of insecurities which I was facing due to the fact that as Uganda, they don't like people who are called LGBTI. They don't support them, and the government doesn't need those people who are LGBTI. So since I was displayed by other people, then I thought I had to leave Uganda to go to Kenya to rescue my life because I was going to be killed. So I had no any alternative where I can rescue my life. Only the alternative which I had to run from Uganda to go to Kenya so that I can get where I can at least be safe. Yes, please.
So you arrived at Kakuma having fled for your life in Uganda, or from Uganda, I should say. So tell us a little bit about what Kakuma was like, what the life in the refugee camp was like.
I will not say that also because, home is the best always.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came to Kakuma, I thought the life will be at least more better, or at least I'll be better than the way I was in Uganda. But due to the fact that Kakuma is also comprised a lot of refugees from various countries, which they don't believe in what I was. So I started also facing the same problems of being in fear that people, they became to know me that I'm from LGBTI community.
Mm-hmm.
So I started also facing the same problem whereby I had to hide myself each and every time, like not moving around the camp or not going to the shop or not being free to do whatever I was supposed to do. So it was also very hard time in the Kakuma refugee camp. Yeah.
And so this is, you said, I just want to clarify for our listeners. So that's based on your LGBTI status or their suspicion of your status.
Yes.
that happened. So were you ever hurt at the refugee camp or?
Yeah, I've been hurted not one time, but several times. Because I have a scar, because if I have hair, but I have a scar here, which they came, they attacked me. I was just walking, I wanted to go and buy some things to eat. So these people, they came to me because as we Ugandans, there is a way how people, they can differentiate between a Ugandan and another country, because as Ugandan, we speak English, and other tribes or other countries, they speak mostly Swahili and Arabic. As you know, that the Kakuma refugee camp comprises of Sudanese, Somalis, Congolese. So they speak Swahili. That is the language which fluent in the camp. But Ugandans, if they go in the camp, they use local language, which is Uganda and English. So it's very easy
to identify
you. If you go to the subject, immediately they will know that this is a Ugandan. Yes.
And so the people that hurt you were other people in the camp?
And other people in the camp.
And is there any security kind of equivalent to police officers or something?
Yes. In the camp, there is security, but security doesn't favor what they call LGBTI. I will not say that also Kenya like what people they call LGBTI. The government of Kenya also doesn't support LGBTI at all.
And the camp is in Kenya, of course.
Yes,
right.
They don't support LGBTI. Even the camp, Kakuma refugee camp, they don't support keeping LGBTIs in the camp. But due to the fact that we're under UNHCR, there is no any way how the government of Kenya can say that you can tell UNHCR that you should not keep here LGBTIs in the camp because we are hands of
UNHCR.
UNHCR, not the hands of Kenya, the government of Kenya.
So are there UNHCR officials at the camp who know what's going on?
Yeah.
Or they just are under the auspices of UNHCR?
Okay, UNHCR, as UNHCR, is trying, or it has been trying, like to protect LGBTIs in the camp, but it's, I don't know how is it done, but they have small portion they take. But the camp is protected mostly by the Kenyanese.
So that's the problem.
The nationals. So whereby the nationals, they cannot give a clear information or a clear picture to what is happening in the camp. Because if we get a problem in the camp, we cannot jump the protocol. We need to follow the protocol to go to the police. Then from the police, you go to camp manager. From the camp manager, up to reach UNHCR. But any case you report to the police, once you are LGBTI, it just stops from the police. Because even the police, they are homophobic to LGBTI. They don't like them. And once you go there, they ask you, what is your case? Where are you coming from? You are LGBTI? No, we don't support you here. We cannot live with you. You are just promoting your things. So go back. If they kill you. Yeah.
That's terrible. And so I just want to make sure I have a sense of the time. You fled Uganda in 2014. Did you arrive that same year at Kakuma?
Yeah, it took me 2 days reaching in the Kakuma refugee camp, because it's as Kakuma refugee camp, it's found in northwestern Kenya, and it's a desert area, a remote area.
Right.
That's where
So it's hard to cross, I assume.
So it's not very easy to move within one day. It takes you 2 days to reach there.
Right.
Even the transport is very, very, very difficult reaching there.
And then how many years did you spend in the camp before being able to come here?
I spent I get there 214 up to 218.
So 4 years. You spent 4 years in the camp.
214 to 218.
18.
Yeah.
And do you know, did you have any understanding? Did anyone explain to you why it was so long between the time that you got to the camp and the time that you got to the United States? Do you know what took so long?
Yeah. So the problem was, they told us the problem was the process of getting resettled to any country. It is a process. So there was a time when, because most countries which helps the refugees is the United States. It's America which is helping the refugees. So when the Americans or America cancelled the number of refugees which to be taken from the camp to come to US, that's when the problem came, and the process then it stopped. It became very, 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 very slow, because there was no any country which was helping refugees. Other countries, if they come in, they can take maybe 40, 20, 30. But if America comes, they take like more than hundreds of refugees in the camp. So that one, it affected the process so much. Not only that time, even up to now, it's still affecting the refugees.
And took too long.
Taking too long process. And because this is the only country which is taking a lot of refugees. Yeah.
I understand. And was it typical when you were in the camp for those 4 years? I assume you met other refugees that were in the camp. Were all of them people who had been there for a long time?
Yeah. Refugees, there are a lot of refugees who have been more than the years which I was in the camp. There are many refugees who have been like 15 years.
Wow.
Even 20 years.
And do you know why it's been so long for them, or didn't you know?
Yeah, some refugees, the problem is like, we have a problem whereby these people who are working on the refugees, some of them, they are not specialists, or they have not have been, I don't know how to phrase that, but they are not special in what they are doing, or
not experts.
They are not experts what they are doing. Because, giving you or to resettle you in another country, or to get any country where you're supposed to go, you need to present your problem or what brought you in a camp. But not all of us, we can explain, or not all of us, we can talk about ourselves. There are few people who can talk about themselves. So, many of them, they cannot, even coming in the office is very difficult. If you tell somebody, okay, now, I want you to sit there, and may I sit there, I want to ask you questions. Somebody may be with a point, but since he has not ever seated with somebody or answering any question, so it's very difficult somebody to explain, and then ends by not his case or her case moving on, and then by the end of the time, the person who was interviewing that person will say, go out.
Yeah.
But the point is, that person is what? A refugee, and he ran away from his own country because of insecurity. But expressing
What happened to them
what
is
happened
too
is a
difficult.
problem.
Right.
And it needs somebody who really can, I don't know, somebody who really can
communicate and help them to express themselves.
And somebody who's known true, somebody who really, or a mother, let me say.
Right, yeah.
But sometimes people, when they're office, they are very harsh.
Very
They
scared.
They don't know how to handle people. For example, like refugees, those are the people, somebody who has been traumatized, somebody who's having a lot of stress. So there's a way you have to handle that person.
And if you're not, then you're not going to get
You will
responses.
not get what you want.
Right.
And some people, they fear to talk about themselves.
Sure. I understand.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. So, do you still have friends in the refugee camp that you're in touch with, even though now you're here?
Yes, I still have friends which I'm touching with in the camp. They are still there. And some of them, I found them there and I've left them there. Yes, I'm still having them, and they're still suffering.
Still suffering?
They're still suffering.
So I take it then from your conversations with them, conditions haven't changed at the camp, or?
The condition in the camp, it has not changed so far right now. As you know that President Trump has reduced on the number of refugees which are coming here, which are coming in America. And that one, so it has affected, as I told you previous, that it has affected the process. So the process is no longer moving, and yet the refugees are continuing coming.
Continuing to come in.
So that is, it's a process.
Yeah.
Which is now hindering them, nothing else. The process is very slow. Yeah.
So what does that, are your friends that are still in the camp, are they, what are they feeling now?
They don't, I cannot say that they are happy. They are not happy where they are. Because there are a lot of challenges which they are facing right now. Because right now, as we are talking, UNHCR, it doesn't have a lot of support, because as you know that most of the support we are coming from here, and they cut the support from UNHCR.
Right.
So it doesn't have what to feed them. And since it doesn't have what to feed them, so UNHCR, as it cannot chase them to go back where they came from, it is supposed to keep them from there. So which is going on there, many, they are losing their lives. Recently, they told me they found like 2 of them, they hanged themselves.
Oh. But these are friends of yours, former friends of yours?
No, like fair refugees. They found them hanging themselves, that they wrote like they were hungry, they didn't have like what to eat. Because now what they do, they can give you a kilo of sorghum and a kilo of that one. It's a family like 6 people. Then they give you a kilo of maize. Then a kilo of, that's 5 kilos for a whole month.
Wow. So that's not enough food.
Can you eat 5 kilos for a whole month?
Right.
You cannot.
Can't, right.
Which means that you have kids, or even if you're alone, you are one person, you cannot eat those 5 kilos of what they have given you for a whole month, which means that you would die. Many of them, they are dying. And also something else, some organizations, they have withdrawn up. They are no longer operating because they don't have funds to help the refugees. Because in past, some years which back, there were a lot of organizations which were helping refugees. Once like the UNHCR gives something, and then this organization coming in, they give small things to the refugees. But now, some organizations have already left out the camp because they don't have funds. So They left the refugees
Right.
looking
Seems-
around. And refugees also used to get some jobs from these small organizations. But since the organizations left, they don't have money to use. So they have to leave the camp. Yeah.
Well, so we do have a listener who asked, Walter Wilkins asked, if it was just you and President Trump sitting alone together in the Kakuma refugee camp, and you were permitted to ask him one question that he promised to answer truthfully, what would that question be?
All right. Thank you very much for that question. What I would ask President Trump, the question which I can ask President Trump if we sit together on the table as we are right now, I would like to ask him to tell me a difference between economical refugee and a political refugee.
Because you feel like they're one and the same, an economic and a political refugee?
Yes. That's a question I would like
Okay.
to ask him.
That's a good question. So maybe he'll answer. Do we have any other questions from our listeners? If not, I have more questions. But okay. So I know this is a little bit of what we call crystal ball gazing, but what do you think your life would be like if you hadn't been able to come to the United States?
Thank you very much for that question. As I told you, Kakuma Refugee Camp is a remote area. It is an area where you survive today, tomorrow you will not survive. Because it's a semi-desert area where it is 40 degrees Celsius temperature, night. Yes. And secondly, it is a remote area. So if I wasn't able to come, because I remember we were 5 in the group, one of us died. One of us died. But not because of any other thing, but it is because of the area. It wasn't favoring him. It didn't favor him to live. So he died from there.
From exposure to the elements.
Yeah. So, I think if I didn't get the chance of coming right now, I would have been one of the wind you see blowing because I had no hope. I had no hope because I think it's very hard time there. It's very difficult time to live there because there's nothing which you can plan when in a camp. There's nothing which you can think when in the camp. You know that you're ready. Living in a camp is like already you are dead.
And so the only thing sustaining you is the hope that you
Yes.
might go.
Yes. Because if you look around, if there is somebody who ever been in the desert, you look here, you just see it's going. You look the other side, you just see the wind and the dust moving out.
It's very desolate.
Which means that you just praise God the day you survive, and then you say, thanks God.
Yeah.
Today I'll survive, tomorrow I will not survive.
Yeah.
So if I tell that, I would have now, right now, I think I would have been the air moving away like this. I think I'm true. Because that's a hopeless place.
Wow. Very, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure that it's hard to think about that time in your life. So I guess my last question is to really tell us a little bit about what happened after you arrived here in the United States, was it difficult to adjust?
My arriving here to United States, it wasn't so easy because I was moving from the hot place to the cold place.
Had you seen snow before?
No, and the worst thing, I reached here in the snow time. So, whereby it was very, very hard for me for the first few months to adjust to the weather here. It was very hard for me to adjust the weather here. So, it wasn't very easy at first. But later on, I came on because even putting on a jacket, I was feeling like I'm dying. I was feeling like dizziness every time. I was feeling dizzy. The food, because I was used to eat sorghum, and here I was changing the food. I used to get stomach pain. Also, at first it wasn't easy for me, but as the time went on, right now, I feel at home.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
I feel
good.
at home. So,
That's good. That's really good. Well, thank you, Brian, for sharing your story of migration and your story about the refugee camp and your arrival and your final arrival here home. So we have run out of time. So for all of you who sent questions that we didn't get to answer, they'll be answered in the comments. So you can still send in questions and we'll respond. And we want you to stay tuned for our next Ask Me Anything, which is going to be Thursday on October 3rd at 4 p.m. And at that point, we'll be talking to a Philadelphia native and a HIAS Pennsylvania client who came together through our Philly Neighbor program. Their names are Olga Livshin and Leonardo Zoom Zoom. As always, you can learn more about how to support asylum seekers and other immigrants and refugees at www.hiaspa.org. Thank you.